Welcome back to another episode of Your Platform Podcast. I'm here with my guest, owner of FitFam, which I just learned, and even though that you put it out there, I just learned that it was the Factory of Aesthetics and Movement.
That's right.
That's an awesome name.
Yeah.
Samer Delgado.
Samer
Delgado. He was on American Ninja Warrior 2017. You were a regional finalist?
I was a USA finalist.
USA finalist.
Yeah, so national finalist.
National finalist. That's dope. That's dope. Super cool. Are you still part of BarStarzz?
I am.
You are still part of BarStarzz. And you've grown a one hell of a business. Obviously we know each other from kind of just, we grew up kind of around the same people. I think while that is something that I know about you, I don't know the ins and outs, and I've got to learn in my preparation for this. And I'm really excited about this show, Samer. I appreciate you bringing me on and letting me do this in your beautiful building. Just shout out to you, man. This is awesome. I gotta ask. Let me ask you first. When you envisioned your life 12 years ago, but 2012 is when you started your fitness journey.
Yep.
What did you envision for yourself?
In 2012. Okay, so that's when my mind was kind of changing.
Yeah.
And I just wanted better for me.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted. I wasn't sure exactly where I was going with life. Mm-hmm. I just knew that I wasn't happy where I was and I wanted better. So it was just that type of thing where I was trying to figure it out as I went. So I didn't really have a long-term vision, but I had a short-term vision, and that was just to be better.
Right.
That's when I first found fitness in 2012. Yeah.
I gotta ask, right? When you're going through what you experienced in your life, and then I'll ask you to share because you probably could tell a little more about yourself than what I can try to portray for listeners. But when you came to America when you were 11, is that accurate? Mm-hmm. And you came from Colombia? Venezuela. First of all, shout out to your country, by the way.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is that I went to Miami and I watched the Caribbean Series baseball league there, and Venezuela was playing Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
Venezuela was losing. And even though that they were losing, bro, the energy that they had, they brought to the game was
that's
wild.
A sport.
Baseball's their sport.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was incredible to want to watch and feel.
We like soccer, but we never make it nowhere.
In 2012, you jump in and you decide I'm making a life change, and one of the things we'll get to is your story. Mm-hmm. I'm curious your roots. Your foundation, mm-hmm. What your parents were like, if you don't mind sharing, if that's okay.
Not at all.
Because I think that shapes a lot of who we become, right?
Yeah.
What we want and what we don't want, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So start with that, if you can.
Okay, so I was brought up by my mother. My dad wasn't really in the picture mm-hmm. much. He was around, but he wasn't in the picture much. He would just come by once in a while. I always say that my dad was more like a family friend who would just come visit, have coffee with my mom, play his guitar and leave. Yeah. And so my mother pretty much did the whole job by herself.
Yeah.
And the one thing I think that my mom did the best, I judge her on a lot of things. I'm not going to lie. I hold some things against her, like bringing me to this country the way she did. And she kind of like lied to me to bring me here. She told me, we were come visit my sister that lived there already. And then we kind of ended up staying. And she knew that all along. Yeah. It was rough for me. But one thing that my mom did that was really good is that she instilled in me greatness. Mm-hmm. She told me how great I was. Yeah. She told people how great I was in front of me. I was a little kid. Yeah. She would just talk highly of me. She would tell everybody how smart I was and how much of an athlete I was and how great I was at everything I did and how amazing I was. Yeah. And I believe that gave me so much confidence, and I believed it. Although I'm like, I don't think I'm that good at that. She would just be like, no, he's amazing. Like my son this, my son that. And I'm like, am I really that good at that? I'm not sure about that. But you know, like that did something to me. That gave me some confidence. And I really, truly believe that that helped me to believe in myself more.
Right.
You know, so I don't know if she was doing that on purpose or why she did that. Or maybe I think that she did believe it.
Deliberately.
Yeah. And, you know, it did give me that confidence. And I've always been confident in myself and what I can do and in my own brain and my own smarts and my intelligence. And I think that she did that. As far as my dad goes, I mean, she tells me that I got a lot of his features, that I'm a go-getter like he is, that I'm driven like he is, that he was a crazy man, kind of like I am, that he didn't listen to rules and that he made his own path through life. Like he became a lawyer at like 60 something years old. He just decided he wanted to go to school and become a lawyer. And he did that.
Wow.
Yeah. And before that, he just had odd jobs throughout his whole life. He never was like working for one person. He just worked for himself always, like whether it was fixing cars or he made like his own parts store.
Did you guys come to the United States together? The three?
No, my dad never came. He's still in Venezuela.
He's still in Venezuela. Yeah. What's your relationship like with him?
Well, I didn't talk to him for like maybe 18, 19 years. I spoke with him during the pandemic for the first time. We got on a FaceTime call and I spoke with him for the first time.
What was that like? And I'll ask you. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. That's the one I'm asking.
Oh, what was it like to speak to him?
Yeah, for the first time in that long.
It was surreal, and it answered a lot of questions that I had about him and his personality. He was flirting with my mom on the camera, like it was us three talking. He's like flirting with my mom in front of me. Yeah. He was very funny. He kept showing me his abs. He's like skinny and thin still.
That's great.
He started doing push-ups. He's like, I see that you were fit. I'm fit too. He started doing. He was like 80 years old.
He's that old.
He's 80 years old. My dad, yeah.
Wow.
And he's actually like 82. My mom's 80. My mom just turned 80.
Yeah. Also, they had you later in life. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah. So we were like 10 years apart, each of us.
Gotcha.
So my sister is actually 20 years older than me.
I see.
And then my brother is 10 years older than me, and then me.
And you're the youngest?
I'm the youngest in my mom's side. Yeah. And then my dad has like 11 kids.
Wow. And the reason why I ask is I too, so a little bit of a freaky story, not to go too deep into it, but I don't know my dad. And this is going to be kind of where I'm going to wrap in, your story. I never met him. And he's been around when I was younger, like when I was like maybe one, he came in and said hello. But I don't have a recollection of him other than he called me when I turned 10, when I turned 17, and then when I turned 16 and 17. I had a lot of animosity because of the stories that I had were told about him. And I remember when I turned 18, I started letting go of that animosity and anger. I kind of could think for myself, let me not form an opinion based off of stories. And I forgave him, and I still hadn't had a conversation. So I remember he used to call me on my birthdays, and I'd be like, don't call me, I hate you, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And on my 18th birthday, when I forgave him, he never called me back. Fast forward to 2023, I did a DNA testing. A person's name came back that matched my DNA at a really high level, which happened to be his sister. And the reason why I ask about that and the reason why I share that story, because I think when we grow up, we latch on to some comfort of individuals that we think are there for us, or they are there for us in a sense. But tell me about coming to the United States and where you were from 11 to when you started your fitness journey, and what that looked like.
Yeah. So like I said, my mom brought me here, like sort of a lie that I kind of knew it was a lie, but I didn't want to believe it.
Yeah.
I knew I was leaving the country forever, and my friends and everything I built over there, which I thought was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
At 11, I thought I was like, I had my life made.
Yeah.
I had lots of friends. I was a rollerblading guy who I did a bunch of like different competitions, and I was winning medals and doing that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like the what's the name of the games? The X Games?
For real?
Well, not the real X Games.
Yeah, but
I would watch the X Games. I'm like, I want to be like that.
And you would do stuff like that?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Do you still mess around rollerblades?
I haven't done it in like 25 years or something.
Yeah, well, we'll go into the stuff that's, you can do a little more extreme stuff than that. But,
yeah. But that was my beginning of this extreme stuff. Okay. So that was the first sport that I ever really enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings me, to what I did later on in life. But so then she brought me here, and
it was straight to New London?
Straight to New London.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My sister lived here, so we came to live with her. And, I went right to school.
Mm-hmm.
And it was rough. I hated it here. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to be here. I got put in a bilingual class as soon as I got into
Spanish is your first language, right?
Yeah. Yep. So back then, if you didn't know the language, English, they'll just throw you into a bilingual class with all the kids that don't know English. And basically, for me, it felt like a hellhole. Mm-hmm. I was just held into this class the whole entire day while everybody else got to move from class to class in the hallways, and we would just be in there all day long with each other. Yeah. And
do you remember how you felt during that?
Oh yeah, angry. Yeah. I hated it.
And that was still because you're like, I don't want to be here, right?
Well, yeah. Plus, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know the culture. I didn't understand this country. I didn't know the language. I didn't understand. Right. I mean, everyone in that class was Puerto Rican or Dominican, except for me. Yeah. And
how different are those three cultures? Like when
hugely different. Yeah. Hugely. I mean, they speak differently. They were raised differently. I felt like I was raised very differently. Like my mom taught me well. My mom I come from a good family. Like as far as my mom goes, she was a teacher. She retired as a professor of a college.
Wow.
She has a doctor's degree in teaching and psychology. Yeah. So my mom brought me up really well. Mm-hmm. I always been a rebel regardless, but she brought me up well. I had a good base.
Good foundation.
Yeah, good foundation. But then coming here, I just didn't fit in. I didn't fit in. I looked like a white boy. I had long hair. And dressed like a skater with the long, big pants. Right. And I kind of looked like a girl a little bit. My hair was long. I'll cover my face. And they will just, fuck with me.
See, I don't really remember that version of you because I met you. I think when me and Orlando were very close. Mm-hmm. He introduced me to all you guys, and that was when I was 16.
Which Orlando was that?
Acosta. Rest in peace, Acosta. The one passed away. Him and Pookie. Yeah.
Pookie. And okay. Well, we didn't call him Orlando, right?
Capo. Call him Capo.
I never even knew his name.
Yeah.
I know, like Capo.
Yeah, that he lived with me for a while.
Okay.
And I was his first friend when he came here. So, so what I remember of you, he would bring me down to Federal, and I just everybody always showed me love, I think, because I was running with him and whatnot. But I don't remember that version of you, the skater version of you. No. I just remember the long hair.
By then, I was a different person already.
Yeah.
I got calloused already by then.
What kind of person were you then?
When you met me?
Yeah.
Oh, I was a very different human. My girl tells me that I lived 1,000 lives. She's like, you lived the most lives I've ever seen. Like someone. Who was I then? I was inspiring to be the best I could be in the streets. I was inspiring to be the worst person, I guess.
Yeah.
But back then I didn't see it as the worst. I saw it as just who I am. I saw it as who I looked up to was the people who were hustling, who were selling drugs, who were dressed the cleanest and the most fresh with the best shoes and they had the most money and the gold teeth and the chains and who got all the girls. And that's who I was aspiring to be. And I've always aspired to be the best at everything I did, always did. Right. So that was just another aspiration I had in that part of my life. And I just didn't realize how in the wrong path I was.
Yeah, so you were 20 then, because you're 38, right?
Yeah. 38.
So you were 20 when I met you.
I was 20 when we met?
Yeah.
So that was towards the end of it.
Yeah. Because, again, he brought me, I remember.
What year was that?
That was 2006.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was 2006.
So I already have my oldest daughter. I have both of my daughters already.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So you met me towards the end.
I met you towards the end.
So maybe not. So maybe I wasn't that where I just explained.
Yeah.
I was a little bit past that already. I think I was I was trying to figure myself out.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out who I was and how I fit in this life.
Do you think that do you think a lot of that happened to be because of your girls that you do you think when you're at that age you're like, hey, I got to make changes because I have two lives that depend on me?
That's a big part of it is that. Definitely a big part of it is that. And you know what? It's a good question. I don't remember my state of mind then, but I do remember that I was slowly figuring out that that's not who I was.
Yeah, you said something on the BarStarzz show that I thought was really interesting. Is that you? There's a 3-step process to you know, as you said, stop smoking cigarettes. So it was you got to change the people around you,
people, places, and things.
What people, places, and things. How did you do that? That's got to be hard, right? You know, you had mentioned in that show that you stayed inside for a couple of days.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind when that's happening? Like, are you feeling the urge to say, you know, F this, I gotta kind of
every day?
Yeah.
Every time I went out, I was like, fuck, I want to stop in the gas station and just go get a pack. Yeah. I think when I make my mind up about something, I just go 100% for it. And that was a big changing, a turning, a time in my life when I figured out that I needed to make a change, and I wanted that change, and I was 100% going for that change. Right. And that was the cigarettes, the people, and I wanted more out of my life, and I knew it. I 100% knew that. So it's not that hard when you have a vision of what you want, and I wanted more. I knew I wanted more. So yeah.
And what kind of feedback did you hear from people? Like, you need a support system to do that. And at least I'm the type of person that I'm very much like you, where I'm one that likes to kind of figure things out on my own. But at the same time, you know, there are that one or two people there that can kind of nudge you. Did you have any support?
When it comes to what?
When it comes to making those changes in your life.
Which ones? Because there were a lot of
the cutting the people out that you needed to cut out, changing, because we're going to go into your business here in a little bit, but changing your habits, and whether that was smoking and drinking and stuff.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm like, what, 24?
Yeah.
I'm like 24, 25 years old. So at this point, I learned a lot of lessons in my life, and I was transforming. At this point, I'm going through a transformation in my life where, I was willing to go against the grain, and I didn't care whether I had somebody. If anybody would have told me don't do that, I would have just kept going right past them, and I would have ignored them. That's how. What is the word I'm looking for? I was determined, bro. Yeah. That's how determined I was. I didn't care what anybody said, what anybody told me. I saw something, and I was like, okay, there it is. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm going for that. Yeah. And that was it. And I had one person supporting me a lot, and that was the girl I was with at the time, who kind of also inspired me to be better and want more, just because I was seeing that she did it at her age. She was a little younger than me, and she was already, going through. She was doing really good in her life, and I wanted some of the things that she had. And she had a nice car. She had a good job. She was going to college, and I just didn't know what I was going to do with my life yet. I just knew that I wanted to do something. So the cigarettes was just like the very, very beginning of what I needed to do. That was just the setup. I needed to set myself up to then go towards where I needed to go.
Yeah. So I like to learn a little bit about the people that I bring on. Obviously, like I said, I know you and whatnot. But I like to dive into, like, there's things that make us say, I gotta stop this. But there's always that pulling force that, that wants to bring you back. And
absolutely,
when it comes to addiction, when it comes to any kind of change that you want to make, there's something that always, pulls you back. So I'm always interested to know, how did people do that? How do people break through that kind of level of adversity? And I love to see, I think one of the first things I remember from that gap. So, 2016, when not 2016, sorry, when I was 16 and had met you, I think the next memory I have was you doing handstands on shopping carts at like Stop and Shop, and you were posting it, and they were just pictures because we didn't have the videos or anything like that. I'm like, yo, that's wild, that's crazy that he's doing that stuff. Let's go to that portion of it, because now you're going from a level of like, all right, I'm making some habit changes, I'm feeling better in myself. Was there a part that Samer, that you felt that it was more of your mentality, where you could feel like maybe the things that you were doing before was deteriorating your behaviors and obviously your health and stuff like that? But was there a point that you were like, in your fitness journey, how you took it to this next level of fitness, and what was that point like? I actually reached out to a friend of mine who his transformation is awesome, and he does a lot of calisthenics, and I actually showed him your page. I'm like, yo, I said, I'm meeting with this guy tomorrow. Let me give me some questions that I should ask him. And his name is DeAndre Gooden, so shout out to him. So he goes, he actually, let's jump into calisthenics first, because I know that's your stuff here. He said, so do you know who Zay Magic is? Zay Magic. He ZE Magic, I think, is the guy. And it's just some random guy. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's influenced.
I'm not sure who that is. Okay.
So then, who influenced you to get into the calisthenics?
BarStarzz. Well, okay. Let me go back then. So when I started working out, I started training. I quit smoking. I went to the gym and started working out. I was just working out just to
look good, feel good.
Well, yeah, just to get back to who I really was. And for many, many years, I just followed people. I followed the guys in the projects. I followed my friends. Yeah. I wanted to be someone who I wasn't. So I wanted to find myself and what I wanted to do and who I was. And
that was good right there.
I think I got to the gym to find myself. And I was like, okay, this is what I've been missing. Oh, this is who I am. I'm an athlete. I've always been an athlete. I was an extreme rollerblader. Yeah. I learned how to do backflips when I was like 15, and I would just do backflips of everything. So this is who I am. Okay. This feels good. This feels right. This is what I've been missing. So Instagram just came out those times. And back then, there weren't even videos, like you said, on Instagram. It was just pictures. And I saw a guy doing a human flag.
Yeah. You're the first person I've ever seen do that, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, what the hell is that?
So this guy's name was Justin from California. I ended up meeting him too and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, Justin was doing a human flag, boom, and I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy. So I went on his page and I saw that he will do like pull-ups, and then on the next picture he'll be like on top of the bar. And I'm like, holy, that's like
what's that called?
Muscle up.
Muscle up, yeah.
But back then I was like, that's like a super pull-up.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I was amazed by it. And so then I looked through his page, and this guy is shredded. He has big muscles. I'm like, this guy is like fit, strong, and he just plays.
Yeah.
He's playing.
Right.
He gets to play and look good and feel good. I'm like, I found my calling. This is me right here. So then I started researching on YouTube, and I found BarStarzz. I found that there were teams in America, different teams, BarStarzz, bartenders, barbarians. So many of them. There's a bunch.
Yeah. Quickly, how big is BarStarzz still popular? Is it still like a big thing?
It's not.
No.
It's not no more. A lot of us just stopped competing and
Is that because of the pandemic, you think, or?
I think it's just like we got older.
Yeah.
We started like worrying more about the fitness part of things, the health part of things, and not so much of the extremes.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys stopped competing. And the BarStarzz head, Ed, he's he's out there buying houses and like living his life, and he just kind of like, just letting. We still love BarStarzz. We still have a chat. We still talk all the time. We're still family. Yeah. We're just not competing. So yeah, we're still BarStarzz. It's just not the competition part of it. It's not there anymore. But anyway, I found that YouTube that dudes were competing, especially in New York. They had teams going against each other. Yeah. And I saw my boy Vert. He became a friend, Vertical.
Yeah.
They call him Vertical because he gets vertical. He does crazy handstands and he does flips and all this stuff. He's a stunt guy, and he's also
a stunt guy.
He's a stunt guy.
That's cool.
Yeah, and he's also a parkour guy who turned into calisthenics guy. But first he was stunt and parkour. So he was out there in the videos doing crazy stuff like some dudes would just like jump on the bar, do a muscle up, and then they would jump on top of the bar. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, okay, they're taking it to the next level. And then the energy was crazy and they were going against each other. And I'm like, all right, so there's a culture now. Okay. And there's competitions. People are winning trophies. I'm like, that's
so
what
you're channeling that old mentality that you have, that you want to do this and be the best at it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's brand new and nobody knows about it yet. I'm like, I'm already creating moves in my head. I'm like, I will jump on the bar and I will do a 360 and catch and I will get back on top.
Bro, I remember those videos that you posted.
Yeah, so I'm creating moves in my head. I'm like, I don't think no one's ever done that yet. I'm like looking these guys up. I'm like following these guys. Now I'm like I'm a fan of BarStarzz and I'm watching them. These guys are taking road trips all through the United States and they'll stop in like in the White House and doing handstands in front of the White House. Cool. And they're going to Miami and Florida and they're going to all these places. And I'm like, okay.
You wanted that.
I need friends like that. These guys will be the friends I need.
Right.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'm all in. So I started practicing. I started building bars in my backyard. I built a whole calisthenics park in my backyard and grind.
Yeah.
I started practicing. I learned how to do the muscle up. I learned how to do human flags. I learned how to do back levers. And
how long did it take to just the human flag? How long did that take you to kind of get down?
Bro, not that much. I was like so into it. I always practice every day, all day.
Bro,
I would just practice, and then my boy at the time.
And that's a full extension too. You're doing like that's why, and that's
full extension.
That's wild.
So you're pulling and you're pushing.
Yeah, that's
pull and push.
Crazy.
My boy back then, you know what he told me? He tried to discourage me. But you know what? That gave me the fuel to go harder because he told me, bro, we tall, man. We're 6 foot tall. He's 6'1". I'm like, I'm 6'1", you're 6 foot. Yeah. This is not for us. Yeah. That's for you. Check other heights. And then I went and did. And they were like 5'5", 5'4". It's true. Most of calisthenics athletes are short, skinny, or not skinny because they got muscles, but they're thinner, shorter guys who don't weigh as much. I weighed 187 back then, and I was 6 foot, So he was like, bro, we're not going to be able to do this. I mean, we couldn't do it for shit at first. So he's like, we're not going to be able to do this. And I'm like, watch me, bro. So I'm like, every day practice. Now I wanted to show him, too, that I can do it. So it was that type of thing. What was the original question?
No, just like who? No, it's fine. That's perfect. That just really, and I was actually about to interject, but it was about your background and
I went to the handstands.
Like, kind of going from normal fitness to that. But I think what I appreciate and love about you the most, Samer, is that you build off of things and you kind of just say, nah. One of the coolest things I saw, and I saw this, like, I think you posted, I might have been like one of the first likes on it, is when you backflipped and caught footballs.
Oh yeah.
Bro, I remember seeing that.
2 at the same time?
But yeah, both of them at the same time. And what I love most about it is not that you actually did it, is that your reaction to it. Your reaction was like, let's go. You were so hype. And I think, you're an influencer, right? I would say you're an influencer.
I don't like to consider myself one.
Not in a negative way, right? Okay. When I think of an influence, there's 2 types of influencers. You got your everyday influencer that you see on social media, right? That will post this and, I'm working out and I look good. Shout out to them. Do what you please. But I think what you do and your business shows it is you inspire people. That's the type of influencer that I mean. That, and you inspire people with your energy, with your passion, and your story, and that's kind of why I wanted you on the show. So I think I think that's important to highlight for people.
I appreciate that.
I know I got to shed some pounds and stuff like that. So it's
good,
bro.
You actually look good.
Listen, I take my shirt off. I don't, bro. Don't let this fool you, bro. But like,
a few months in the gym, you'll be right back, bro. You'll be shredded.
It's funny because I was like, I went through.
I'll get you a 6-pack.
I was like,
come work with me.
I was like, I'm gonna do some push-ups before I go see him. So, what are some of your favorite skills that you learned and that you've done?
Handstand is my favorite skill. My number one.
You teach that here too, right?
I teach handstands.
How do you teach it? Like, what's the?
How do I teach handstands?
Like somebody comes in, and like, what's the basic thing that you teach them to do?
The first thing is learning how to warm up, learning how to warm up your wrists. Don't be like me. Don't be dumb, because now I have issues. Have good mobility of the shoulders.
Yeah.
Learn how to move their scapulars correctly. A lot of us don't know how to move our scapulars. And after that, then I teach them the very basics: how to kick up, right? Use a wall, learn how to kick up. Not even to get to the wall, just to like understand how the pressure feels on the shoulder. Learn how to rotate your body around the shoulders. Because basically, when you do a handstand, you're literally just putting your hands over your head, but you're doing it while your hands are on the ground. So instead of your shoulder blades rotating with your hands, you're rotating your shoulder blades with your body.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're rotating around your shoulder blades, but with your body, not with your arms. Yeah. So I got to teach them that. I got to get past the psychological part. Most people just have a psychological block there because they're afraid of falling, afraid of what's going to happen, or afraid of being upside down. So I take it very, very easy and very, very slow with people. It's a very gradual thing that takes time. And yeah.
What kind of sense of accomplishment do you get and do you feel when someone succeeds at doing
I get hyped.
You do get
I get hyped. Yeah, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to show somebody something that made them happy, right? Yeah. Or something that they didn't think they can do. Because a lot of people just say, hell no, I could never. And then they get it. Yeah. And I'm like, told you. Yeah. So it feels good. It feels good to be like, I told you so. And that now they got confidence. Like they'll leave the gym with a different confidence that they came in with if they got a handstand or if they got any skill, really. I mean, I see it all the time with people practicing the pullover skills when you like hold the bar and then get yourself over the bar with your body this way. A lot of people don't think they can do that, and then they do it, and it's like, I mean, you see the smile on their face, and you see them like so hyped about it, and like, can you get a video this time, like so they could show their boyfriend or husband or whoever, and it's just a good overall feeling to teach people things that they don't think they can do. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things about fitness and being a coach.
One thing I heard when you were on the show with Randy, which is the Bone Apple Tea podcast, right? Yeah.
Shout out to Randy.
Yeah, shout out to them. And I love that. I listened to a few of their episodes and obviously the episode with you to prepare. But one of the things I gathered from the conversation is so one of the things I gathered from the conversation is you're fearless. You said this in 2020, but this was in 2023. So in 2020, you said in the BarStarzz episode, you had said that I have fears. I don't consider myself fearless. But then in 2023, like, nah, after that, I'm fearless. I jumped out of a plane 3 times.
Okay.
You did skydiving. I think you're getting ready to do it again later that year. When it comes to the there's a mental block that comes up in life where it's, do I sit back and just be comfortable? Or do I push past this and get uncomfortable? I think from everything that we're discussing here, you have conditioned yourself to say, F that, I'm going to push myself through this discomfort, right? How are you able to do that? Because that's not easy.
It's one of the things my mom says that I got from my dad. I don't know, because I've never met him to that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, degree. Like, do you? Is there like some people that I listen to, like when I had Rajay Davis on the podcast, we talked about, his preparation in daily life and some of the things that he do. He played Major League Baseball for 14 years. Like, that's crazy. The average tenure for a Major League Baseball player is like 5.5 years. It's not that long. And I got to imagine now in 2024 with how analytics and technology has gotten involved, it's probably shortened because these players are getting stronger, faster, quicker, and they're coming into the league and knocking other players out of the league, right? But his mental preparation for him was he would prayer, his faith, right? Was there anything that you leaned on when it comes to like before? Like, do you visualize? Do you like? I'm curious because in life, anything that you want to achieve, like you said, you had a vision, what you wanted, boom, here we are, right? You got this. But there's also, like, going back to, there's a level of comfort we can get pulled back by just being comfortable. So I'm just curious what that is for you.
Man, I have a drive inside of me. I have a fire inside of me that I just can't contain, bro. Like, it happens when it comes to things that either somebody tells me I can do, or, part of the drive comes from a little bit of a negative place. Okay. Like, I'm gonna show them I can fucking do this shit, right? Don't ever underestimate me. Right. So sometimes I'm like, I want to do it for myself, but I also want to do it because I want to show everybody that this is who I am. Whoever thought back then that I couldn't do this, whoever those teachers, back in high school that looked at me like I was a dumbass because I hated school and I didn't finish school. I didn't finish high school.
You didn't finish high school?
I didn't finish high school.
Wow.
Hell no, I hated that place, bro. I hated it with a passion.
Yeah. When did you drop out?
When they got me out, they expelled me.
They expelled you?
Absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I kept getting suspended, and I would just be happy about it. I'm like, yes, I don't get to come to this motherfucking place for a week or two.
Yeah.
And then they stopped suspending me, and they would give me in school detention. And I kept telling them like, nah, suspend me because I'm not coming back. So suspend me. And she's like, no, because she's like, I know that's what you want. And I'm like, so suspend me.
Yeah.
So I felt misunderstood back then. I felt like they didn't get me. They didn't understand who I was. They thought I was dumb. I think I was very smart. I felt like I was smarter.
You're very intelligent, bro. You're very
I felt like I was more intelligent than they were in a different way. I'm not book smart. I'm not someone who's going to sit there and read a book. I'm not sure if it's my ADD or what, but I am I'm a deep thinker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very into psychology. I do that onto my own actions and in others' actions. And a lot of the times I felt misunderstood and like people thought that I was someone and it wasn't. So for a long time, I had to first prove to myself who I was and what I can do. And then once I got that confidence from what I could do and what I see that I could do, then I wanted to show everybody else what I could do. And
so a lot of it's a chip on your shoulder, right? You just have you just have like this innate ability to just think of something and execute. What do you do do you have any setbacks? Obviously, I think I've heard about your physical setbacks. I think physical setbacks can probably lead to a little bit of doubt and whatnot. But in terms of motivation, what do you do when you don't feel motivated? Are you just, you don't think of it that way? You just push, you're consistent enough to push yourself.
Motivation is something that comes and goes, right? So sometimes I feel unmotivated. I feel unmotivated or I feel a little bit of self-doubt, or I feel a little bit of like I'm self-sabotaging because, and I'm learned to know that when that happens is because I'm afraid.
Yes.
I'm letting fear kind of seep in little by little. And when that happens, I just tell myself, I remind myself who I am. I remind myself of how far I've come. And I think I'm looking for a word that I'm like trying to find. I can't think right now.
Discipline.
There you go.
Discipline.
There you go.
Yeah.
So when I'm not being consistent, or when I'm feeling like I'm not being consistent, or I'm not motivation, I just think, well, you got to be disciplined. You got to do it because if you don't, then you're gonna get the results that you don't want. So if you want the results, then you just got to go for it. But I mean, back to the questions. The question was, how do I get through?
Like, what do you do to prepare? Like, is there anything that you do to get yourself locked in? Obviously, again, you just said it perfectly, though, right? The discipline, right? There's a saying that I've heard over the last 12 months. I heard it. It's called discipline is inactive in absence of a goal.
Wow.
I'll say it again. Discipline is inactive in absence of a goal. And I never understood what that meant because I did understand. I thought I understood what it meant, but I just kind of took it as a mantra. It's like, oh, that's motivating.
Discipline is inactive.
Inactive. So you cannot.
If there's no goal, there's no
discipline. Correct. And
I like that.
To further that, I think that consistency breeds discipline.
Word.
You cannot be consistent. You can't be disciplined if you're not consistent in what you do, which goes back to what you just said. Like, I might not be motivated, but at the same time, I have to be consistent, right? Because then that's going to get me the result. I have this dream. I need to be in the best shape of my life. I need to run a business. I need to, somebody tells me I can't do it. I need to be consistent. And I love that. And that's what when I see you and I follow you, right? You're on, I see everything that you post, and over the last, 12, 15 years that we've known each other, that's what you are. Yeah. I don't want to say that's your philosophy because I'm not going to speak to it, but what I just said, how much of that bleeds into your philosophy, and what is your philosophy for your gym and for what you do for work?
That's a great question. First off, let me just say that I'm not perfect and I have had setbacks, but I'm a learner. That's what I am. I'm a learner. I pride myself in not being a master of anything, because I believe that if you think of yourself as a master, then you're no longer learning anything.
There's a quote, sorry to cut you off, that you say that. It's by Ralph Waldo Emerson, where he says, when I meet someone, I always look at them as if they know more than me. That's just summarizing it. So wow. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, I like learning, and I know and I understand that life is about learning from your mistakes and learning from the potholes that you fall into. Because if not, life just keeps putting those same potholes in front of you until you beat that level and get to the next lesson that you got to learn. Yeah. So that's how I look at it. And so whenever I make a mistake, I do something wrong, or I F up in any way, then I just tell myself, okay, what was the lesson here? How do I learn from it? How do I get past it the next time? And that's, I think, is an advantage that I have, is that I'm able to look inward and find those flaws or those things that I need to be better at. Right. I'm always trying to level up. I am never not trying to level up. My life's goal is to level up. You said, what was the quote that you said about inactive? Discipline is inactive
in absence of a dream.
Right.
Or
a goal.
Yeah.
So I always have a goal. Yeah. So then I guess discipline could be there for me, because my goal is to better myself no matter what.
Right.
And when I'm not doing that, I feel like I am the less me. I feel like I get into depression. I feel like I get into my own head in a bad way. I feel like I get down on myself. So when I'm not actively seeking my next goal, when I'm not actively seeking my next adventure, or the next thing that I need to conquer, if I don't have one of those things in front of me, then I don't feel like I'm myself. I feel like there's something missing in my life. Yeah. So that's my philosophy, I think, for life, is always looking for the next thing. And I love that. I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy the challenge of learning a new thing. I enjoy the challenge of challenging myself on a new thing. So for example, I own this gym. I could have just been happy about it. Like finally, 12 years later, 14 years of dreaming about a gym, 12 years later since I become a personal trainer, I have a gym now. Boom, I got there. Not only do I got a gym, I have a recovery center with a sauna and ice bath. This place is awesome, bro. I built this thing with my own hands, like my own work. I did all the floors myself.
You did all this yourself?
Absolutely. I built that sauna myself with my own hands.
That's dope.
You know what I'm saying? Like I dreamed of this place. I made it a goal to do it, and I did it. And I picked the colors, and I picked I wanted the black ceiling, and people was like, "Nah, that's gonna look bad." I'm like, "I don't care. I want it. That's what I want. Yeah. That's my goal. That's my vision." So I learned to believe in my vision through all these things too. But I could have just been satisfied. Like I got it. I have a fuel bar. I said I want to make a fuel bar, and I did it. Now I have smoothies. I went through the health inspection, and that was rough to do. And I did it. Yeah. And there was like a new hoop. Here you go. I'll jump right through it. And here's another hoop.
I love that.
I'll jump through it. Yeah. And I'm telling you, it took me a year to build this place.
Yeah, because you were supposed to be in Pawcatuck, right? You're supposed to be over there.
Yeah, I was going to sign a contract in Pawcatuck, and then I heard New London was looking for places, and they were willing to give out some grants.
It's a great spot
to help with the construction and stuff like that. So
and you get back to your community. And
absolutely, and this is where I'm from. This is where I came from. So I was it's amazing that I'm able to go back to the place where I grew up. And where I kind of resented for a while because I felt like they didn't give me what I needed. Like the teachers didn't give me what I needed. The cops hated me. They treated me badly or wrongfully, I thought, in the moment. Now I get able to give back.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Give back, and maybe some kid out there that, if I would have found a gym like this when I was in the streets, I probably would have went in and would have saw somebody in a bar doing muscles. I would have went in and be like, "Oh my God, what is that?" Cool. and maybe would have changed my life trajectory.
Yeah.
But I don't regret anything I've done.
It's funny. It's interesting because like again, going back to my conversation with Rajay Davis, he had said on his show, he goes, when he was in his, I think it was in the later stages of his minor league career before he bridged into the major leagues, he said that he was batting, like, and you're familiar with the sport, and batting average is a little bit, right?
Sort of.
Yeah. Above 300 batting average is like you're a Hall of Famer. And obviously at the major league level, he was in the minor leagues. At the minor league level, you hit above 350, you're on track to get it to the major leagues.
Wow.
He was batting 413 or something like that in the high fours with 2 weeks left in the season. And he's like, I had a roommate that I chose to room with. And he goes, I started losing my focus because of the roommate that I chose. He goes, or maybe he said, I think I chose the wrong roommate because the guy started bringing girls and he lost his focus and things like that. And you're a professional baseball player. You're professional, girls flock to you.
Right.
And he goes, or maybe I chose the right roommate because he had the lesson that he learned. So like you just said, like, maybe I would have, had a different life trajectory, or maybe in turn, this was your life trajectory because where you are now.
Right.
What are some things that people are surprisingly don't know about you, or surprised to hear about you, or learn about you, I should say?
You mean like other than like the Warriors?
Yeah.
I don't know. What are things? I think a lot of people think that I'm going to be like, if they follow me online for a while or they know me from like Facebook, whenever meet me face to face. I've talked to a lot of people who I meet here for a consultation or something like that, who tell me that they thought I was going to be a lot more dry, maybe a little bit more cocky. And I'm not none of those things. I like seeing people eye to eye. And I like being real. I'm a real ass person, and I say I'm pretty pretty funny and personable with everyone I meet. So I think that's one thing that people tell me a lot, that they didn't think I was going to be that way.
Yeah. Let me ask you something that, because I'll be completely honest, this interview went completely different than I thought it was. and I'm actually glad, because.
Why is that? How do you think it was going to
go? I went different. I approached it differently.
Okay.
This right here, I didn't even follow. Because
is that normal for you?
No.
Okay.
And that's the kind of the purpose of like what I want to grow to. So, because I do want to dive in. We got a few minutes. But I don't know how much time you have, but
I got all the time in the world, bro.
I want
my day off.
I do want to dive into your business. How you grew this a little bit. So that I also want to. That's pretty much it. Dive into that, but because we're talking a lot about you here. But what are you not good at?
Wow, freaking great questions, bro. What am I not good at, man? It's a lot of things I'm not good at. Oh man,
what are some things that you are working on getting better at? I should say. Let me rephrase that question.
I want to be better at communication with my loved ones, with the closest people to me, with my daughter, with my girlfriend. I feel like everyone gets the best version of me, and then they get the stressed out version of me. They get the version of me that maybe wants too much for them, and maybe they can't quite reach the heights that I intend for them to have. So I want to be better with the people that are closest to me. I want them to see a better and different side of me that sometimes I'm not proud of. You know what I mean?
We're all like that, man. Yeah. So yeah, let's jump into your business, because that's why I want to talk about how this came together. This is an awesome space.
Thank you.
Your clientele, people come to you, and I see it because a lot of people I follow come see you. How did you build such a successful business? And what's the future look like for you and FitFam?
Well, let me just start with saying I am not a business person. I'm not a businessman. I've never even took a class on business. Sure. I've never done anything to do with business. So I I just paved my own way. I figured it out on my own. I learned how to do things my own way. So I worked for a gym for 1 year.
What gym?
Renegade.
Renegade. Okay.
Yeah. I used to be Workout World when I worked
at
there.
over at the beach
In Groton.
in Groton. Yeah.
In Groton, right by BJ's.
Yep.
Or
Yep.
Benny's.
Yep.
Benny's.
Yeah.
So I worked there for 1 year and just to get my feet wet. And then when I figured out that I was pretty much being robbed, they were charging the clients a lot of money and they were giving me very little money.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I needed them. I had already had a big following on Instagram and Facebook, and because of my calisthenics career. So I felt like I didn't need them. I'm like, well, I could cut out the middleman and just make more money because I wasn't making any money.
Yeah.
And I had a passion for fitness, and I had a passion for coaching, and I had a passion for teaching fitness. So I knew what I wanted to do, but I needed to be able to make money because at that time, I know we didn't really get into my daughters much, but I had brought my daughters to live with me at that time and I got full custody of them. So now I had 2 mouths to feed and myself. So, I needed to make this work.
Yeah.
I quit my jobs for them so that I could be there for them more often, like wake up in the mornings and send them to school and be there after school and help them with their homework. And the job that I had, I couldn't do that with. So, that was part of the reason why I became a personal trainer. But I needed to be able to make money. So I was like, okay, here we go. I'm going to do it on my own.
Right.
And
Good. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I didn't really know, most personal trainers self-training in a very different way than I do.
Yeah.
I figured it out the way that worked for me.
Sure.
And that way is different than most people do it. And also, I'm not a salesman either. I've never been a salesman. Actually,
so how do you how do you get the clientele, and is it how do you drive the business through the doors?
Yeah, it's funny. Okay, so what a lot of my clients have told me is that they follow me on Facebook or Instagram and they watch my stories, which I just post.
Yeah,
I pretty much post all my. So I have no fitness secrets because I post all my workouts
right.
on
right.
Facebook.
So anybody
and
can just watch it, and
they could just watch and see what I'm training my clients with the whole time. Yeah. So I just post my clients on my stories and on Facebook, and a lot of people watch it. And what my clients have told me is that they, some of them will watch for a whole year, and they're very I wouldn't want to say afraid, but they're kind of intimidated to come and talk to me about fitness, or maybe they're just not ready mentally or prepared mentally. And then finally they message me and they're like, okay, I'm ready. I've been watching you for a year and I'm ready to come change my life. You've done amazing things with this and this person, or my friend come see you, or my cousin came to see you. And most of it is word of mouth. Most of it is that way. I don't advertise. I've never paid 1 penny in advertisement ever.
Good for you.
Life. So it's all been that type of thing. And what I say is, now that I've known this is, I plant a seed in people's heads, and then it grows, and then eventually they come to see me. And when they come, they stay. A lot of my clients, stay with me for years and years and years. I have clients that have been with me for 9 years.
Wow. I
have clients that have been with me for 7, 5, 3, 2 years.
That's dope, man. Congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. So I don't,
It's a lot of word of mouth, huh? Just word of mouth.
It's a lot of word of mouth.
Social media drives it.
Yeah, I think so. Or word of mouth, just them telling their cousins, their roommates, or their work.
How much networking do you do? You don't do a lot of networking or anything like that? No. Wow, man. That's great.
And when it comes to selling, I have consultations with people. So for example, you wanted to come train with me, you will hit me up like, yo, Samer, I know you've been training for this many years. You were a Ninja Warrior. I want to train with you. So I will ask you to come for a consultation, and then you will come for a consultation. And I literally just explain what I do to them. Right. I explain how I know what other trainers don't do. And the thing is that a lot of trainers are afraid of giving their clients too much, because then they're afraid they're going to leave them and do it on their own. Right. I've never been that way. I've given my clients everything I know, all my secrets I give to them. Right. And it just ends up working to my advantage, because now, honestly, I'm not exactly sure why. Yeah. I think a lot of it is that after they learn everything they need to learn from me, the reason why they stay is because they use me as someone who keeps them accountable.
Yeah.
Accountability, and because they build a relationship with me
Yeah.
and the other clients here, and it's a family. That's why I call it FitFam. It's a family. It's a community. I came to learn that we are a community. I become family with these people, and they become family with me. But when they come in to do a consultation, it's literally just explain to them what I do. So I do personal training. I'll make you a meal plan that works for you. I'm not going to use some weird meal plan that I found online and just give you some. This meal plan is based on your height, your weight, your age. The foods that you like, the foods that you don't like. I'll make it so it works with your schedule and your life.
Yeah.
And I'll make it so that it's sustainable, that you can do for a long time. So it's not something that's so hard for you to do that you only going to do it for 1 week and quit on yourself. So all the things that I do for my clients, I do them with a goal in mind or with their goal in mind that I want to get them to. And if they don't make that goal, it's never their fault. It's always my fault because whatever it takes, I'm supposed to do to get them to that goal. Whether it is text them in the middle of the night, whether it is asking for pictures, whether it is call them, whether it is not let them call out when they try to call out. Nope, no, you're coming in. No, but I'm sick. It's okay. Come in and hang out. You could stay in the front desk with me. You don't have to work out today.
Holding them accountable. I love that.
So whatever it is that I have to do for them, I will do for them. And when they sit in front of me on a consultation, I'm not trying to sell them in anything. I just explain to them everything I do and what I've done in my years of experience. And whether they want to train with me or not, it's completely up to them, and there's no pressure at all. And that's it. And, it's hard to believe, but like 95% of people that I sit across on a consultation end up, becoming my client.
Yeah, I love that, man. It seems like, there's a little bit of a humanization that you do with your clients, right? You hold them, not only that you hold them accountable, but a lot of people need that now. They need that accountability piece of it, and that's why
I see eye to eye with them. Like I connect with them in that way too. Like a lot of things they're going through, I went through a lot of things. You know what I mean? So I see eye to eye, and I put myself in their shoes a lot, and I'm not the type of trainer that pushes my clients to death. I'm not the type of trainer that's trying to get my clients super sore,
just get them comfortable
and beat up. I'm not a type of trainer. I first of all, I follow the science, and that's not what the science says. That's not what's going to get you to your to the best trajectory on the way up as far as building muscle, strength, or any of that. Is not supposed to be your ass. Not, I mean, I love David Goggins, but it's not David Goggins.
No.
But it's not what gets you there. That gets you beat up. It gets you. It's not sustainable, and it's gonna get you hurt.
He's a different kind of person.
Yeah, he is, and I love that guy for sure. But it's not the ideal way of training. It is not.
I think what I've gathered in this piece here. So you did not go to business school, but you teach yourself everything that you've learned. You within your reading, you follow the science. You go to data, right? Which is most important. But also, you said something 2 or 3 minutes ago that what your competition is doing. That is huge in business. Knowing what for insurance, for example.
And by the way, I love my competition.
Of course.
I know there's enough people out there for everybody.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
I'm not in. It's a competition, but I'm not in there. I'm not thinking of competing with them. I love what they're doing. I want to keep changing lives. So I love that they're doing the same thing as I am. So we're colleagues.
Yep. Keith Turner said it perfectly on an episode that I had with him. He goes, I'm a mortgage person. You're an insurance person. There's a bunch of us around. There's enough sand in the sandbox to do it, to win. And we're all in here to win. You know what I mean? And if I can't help or you can't help, somebody else is going to be able to do it. And vice versa. That's just the nature of the beast. What's the future of FitFam? You mentioned in our conversation several times that you just want to level up. You want to level up. You want to level up. What's the level up from FitFam?
Yeah. There's many of them.
Give me one.
There's many of them. Well, I just hired my first trainer.
Congrats.
Yeah, he was my apprentice for 4 months. I even to that degree, everything I do it with a purpose. And like I'm very thoughtful. So even that, I didn't want to hire a trainer that had trained for years and that knew their stuff and that already had their mindset on how they do things. I wanted someone new. I wanted new blood. I wanted someone that I can teach my ways and they can soak in what I've learned and do things my way, the way I do them. I want everyone that trains into this gym to do things the way I want them done.
Right.
Not because I'm like a control freak at all, but because I want my brand to be my brand and I want my gym to be done in a certain way. Like I said earlier, I don't want David Goggins type of trainers. I want everyone to think the way I think, to have the same mentality, to follow the science, so on and so forth. So anyway, so I had a shout out to Julio, my boy Julio. I hired him as my apprentice. I taught him for 4 months. I had him shadow me. I had him help me. And while he was getting his personal training license and his CPR license and so on and so forth, and his insurance, while he was doing that, he was just helping out here, and he just got his license and his insurance and his CPR. So now he's my first trainee, my first trainer, and he already got his first client yesterday.
There you go. Nice.
So the future is him. He's the future. He's going to be the guy that takes over. You know, he's if everything works out the way I envision it, he's going to be the guy doing my job, and then I'm going to be the guy in LA opening the next FitFam.
Nice.
And then somebody there. Then Julio's probably going to go to LA because he trained somebody else to stay here, and then I'll be in Miami opening the next spot, and so on and so forth. And we're gonna make an empire out of this.
There you go.
That's what we're gonna do.
That's what I'm talking about.
This is a brand. This is a movement. This gym is different than any other gym that you'll ever be to. Not just because of of the things that we do training wise, but because we build communities. We build a family. People in here don't feel like they're judged. People in here don't feel like they have to go to a certain standard of fitness or a certain standard of how strong they are. And because of how I approach my business as far as training clients go, I do it differently than any other gym has done it that I've ever thought about or saw or looked at.
Man, I love that, man. You always looking to do things different.
I do things very different, bro.
Even going
it's
back
just what worked for me. That's all it was. It's what worked for me. It evolutionized on his own, right? Because I was training people out of my apartment here in New London. That was my beginnings. My first year was out in parks and going to people's houses. Oh, actually, my first year was in Renegade. My second year was going to people's houses. My next 5 years was out of my apartment here in New London. I trained out of the living room while my kids did their homework in their room. I was training people out of the living room and cooking dinner for them at the same time. And I did that for 5 years. And at that time, I needed to come up with a plan. How is this going to work? How do I get paid by this class? How am I able to keep them for longer so they don't leave? And I came up with a thing that worked for me, a way that worked for me in that moment. Then I moved to the basement in Groton. I was in the basement for 5 more years. And that basement now it got so packed during the pandemic specifically. It got so packed that I was not able to do one-on-ones as much anymore. So I had to pivot. Oh shit, I can do one-on-ones. I'm packed, but I need to be able to train more clients. It's only me. I can't go hire other trainers to go train down there in the basement. It's very small. So what do? I had to pivot. I had to figure it out. So what I did, I started doing semi-private training, right? So now each hour, instead of getting paid whatever much for the hour, now I could get 4 people in the hour, and now I could get more money for the hour, but I still give them that sort of private type of training where I'm able to see what they're doing, help them with their form, help them with their technique, and write programs individually for each person, right? I could still write programs for them. They still have their own separate goals and still be training at the same time, at the same place, and building community all at the same time.
That's dope.
From then, now I came here, now I have more space, more room. Now I have the recovery center, right? So it's just something that just keeps evolving, and sometimes I'm like, I could see 2 steps ahead, but I really can't see 5 yet. Okay, let me just focus on these next 2 steps, and then once I get to the second step, all the other 3 now all of a sudden came apparent. Like, boom, there they are. There's this that I gotta do, and it's a beautiful thing.
It is, man. So listen, this is what I gathered here. So your story, bringing you back to coming to the United States. you've always felt like you were more than what anybody ever looked at you. You always wanted to level up. We talked about,
I believed in myself a lot
you believed in
because
yourself
of my mom.
and because of your mom. You had the foundation of your mom.
That's where it all comes from,
you know,
I believe.
having that voice in your head that was your mom that believed in you. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
You come here and you dabble with a little bit of negative people in your life that could have steered your life in a completely different direction. And it did. But then you realize very quickly that I need to make a change for myself. So we talked about those changes that you've made. And in those changes, you know, what I love in what you described earlier in the conversation is that you just, and you've said it on other conversations too, with the BarStarzz and with Randy, is that you always wanted to do things differently than anyone else, whether that be, you know, doing the, and I don't know what kind of moves they were, but like, you know, doing flips differently, you know, doing, you know, different, you know, skills that use, like, I've researched to see if it was ever done and it wasn't, and I'm going to be the one to do that. And, you know, it goes into, we go into your motivation piece, and, you know, it's just this fiery chip that you just need to be better. And you have two young girls that rely on you. And then here you are figuring out what's the next level up for my business. It ties back all the way there, man. I love that. I love that.
That's
so
awesome
much.
that you were able to see that.
Yeah.
I never even thought about it that way.
Yeah. I love that.
But one thing that you just said that like resonated with me a lot, and like that was dope, is why the hell do I want to do things differently so much?
Yeah.
But now I know why. Now that you said that, I understand why. So thank you for that.
Of course.
It's because you break new ground, bro. Yeah. When you do things different, you break new ground. And I'm all about paving my own way. I'm all about doing things that are not what everyone else did already. Yeah. So if the street goes that way, I want to go that way.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm that way with a lot of different things. I'm that way with, I believe in a lot of different ways. I believe I go against the grain. Yeah. So why? Because you break new ground. And if you break new ground, you're special. And if you're special, you're unique. And if you're unique, you could be legendary. How can you be legendary if you don't break new ground, if you do the same thing everyone else have done?
Bro, you just gave me a title of this episode, Breaking New Ground.
Fuck yeah, bro.
Samer, where can people find you?
Here. I'm always here, bro. I work a lot.
What's the address here?
310 State Street, New London, Connecticut. And 310 State Street, New London, Connecticut.
What's your socials?
Fitness Blast. Fitness BLAZT.
And that's
or at gmail.com is my email address. But you can find me on Instagram at Fitness Blast. You can find me on TikTok on Fitness Blast. I don't post on there no more, but I do got 400K followers.
You have 400K followers, bro.
And I got a check mark. But I don't even post on it.
That's dope, though.
Facebook, Samer Delgado, or Samer Delgado Fitness. Or you could find FitFam, right? Instagram for FitFam is FitFam, fit.fam.nlct. Yeah. Go follow us.
Bro, I really appreciate this. It's been a long time since we've connected, so this gives me a lot of insight to your work and what you're doing. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens and what you grow this to. Man, I'm going to be rooting for you from afar. I appreciate this opportunity. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We'll stay in touch.
This was awesome. Really, it was awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks.
Hell yeah.